Gina Carano is suing the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm for wrongful termination and refusal to hire, and sex discrimination in the state of California. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. This is up over at thatparkplace.com. If you recall, Carano was fired in February 2021 via a Lucasfilm spokesman who informed multiple media outlets with the following statement: Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm, and there are no plans for her to be in the future. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. The statement was an utter lie when it was published back in 2021. It is now the cause for Gina Carano's wrongful termination lawsuit, because she didn't denigrate people based on their cultural and religious identities at all. 100% lie from the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm. And they're going to pay for it. I hope they pay for it. I am cheering for Gina Carano to take the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm to the absolute woodshed, because it's time for the people that run those companies to pay. They need to pay for what they have done. The statement from the spokesman came after Carano shared a post from Warrior Priest Jim podcast to her Instagram stories that read, "Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children." The post then shares a quote which reads, "Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views?" Along with the text, they included an image of a woman in undress being chased by youths with blunt objects. You can see it right there. Nothing wrong with this post, clearly warning about the dangers of hating your neighbor and how it can lead to just utterly evil, despicable violence. Definitely not something to fire someone over. So Carano announced she was suing the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm on X. She wrote earlier today, "Today is an important day for me. I am filing a lawsuit against Lucasfilm and Disney. After my 20 years of building a career from scratch and during the regime of former Disney CEO Bob Chapek, Lucasfilm made this statement on Twitter, terminating me for The Mandalorian." We just went over that. Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm, and there are no plans for her to be in the future. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. Nothing could be further from the truth. 100% accurate. Nothing could be further from the truth. Just kind of went over that. The truth is, I was being hunted down from everything I posted to every post I liked because I was not in line with the acceptable narrative of the time. It's absolutely true. Before she even posted this stuff, she was speaking out against the COVID lockdown. She was speaking out against the shots. She was speaking out against, I don't know if she was speaking out against the shots. I don't know if that's true. I'd have to go back and look at that. But I know she was speaking out against the COVID lockdowns for sure. Covered that extensively. She was speaking out against people harassing her that were being indoctrinated with transgender ideology. She spoke out against those two topics pretty vehemently. And she was being hunted down. She's talked about this all the time, how they tried to get her into some kind of 40-person Zoom call where she was going to have to like grovel and apologize. Utterly ridiculous. Gina goes on, "My words were consistently twisted to demonize and to humanize me as an alt-right wing extremist. It was a bullying smear campaign aimed at silencing, destroying, and making an example out of me." 100% accurate. That's exactly what the Walt Disney Company was trying to do, because the Walt Disney Company is a political arm now that punishes its opponents or that it deems enemies. It's run by political activists. One need look no further than the current CEO, Bob Iger, who's made it clear that his company is all about activism. They can't be without that, is what he said in a town hall when he took back over with November 2022, I want to say. Carano continued, "The thing is, I never even used aggressive language. I shared thought-provoking quotes, pictures, memes, and occasionally I used my own words, not with aggression, but with respect and the occasional comedy to keep the mood light in dark times. Look with your own eyes at what I posted and ask yourself, for example, where did I compare Republicans to the Jewish people in the Holocaust? I didn't. No, she did not. Not at all. That was a media spin used to demonize her because she never said that. Ask yourself why they were calling me a racist. Was there any merit behind that or history of it whatsoever? No. Look at why I was called a transphobe for making droid noises from Star Wars. Beep, bop, boop. Was obviously directed to the online bullies and did not in any way denigrate transgender people. Accurate. Even though I don't think there's anything wrong with denigrating transgender people because they don't exist. I think those people need significant help. They have been led astray by companies like the Walt Disney Company that are trying to propagandize them and make this stuff normal. They clearly have deep-seated hatred, and they try and lash out and take it out on people they deem enemies or told are enemies. But those people definitely need help because they are suffering severely. And it's very clear that they are. Chrono continued, were my questions about mask lockdowns and forced vaccines okay to ask and push the subject into the light? Should we have been allowed to publicly discuss those topics at that time without being harassed or censored? Absolutely. 100%. 100%. We should have been allowed to discuss those topics freely without being censored. Unfortunately, before Elon Musk took over Twitter, now known as X, Twitter was engaging in the censorship. It's all very well documented in the Twitter files that came out once Musk took over the company. And one can only imagine what other social media platforms were doing, such as Facebook and Instagram, not to mention TikTok or even Snapchat. Chrono then called out Hollywood for its hypocrisy. She said, Hollywood says they support female representation and equal rights. Why then were my male co-stars permitted to speak without harassment and re-education courses or termination, but I was not afforded the same right to exercise my freedom of speech? If you actually get into the lawsuit, she has numerous examples of Pedro Pascal and Mark Hamill able to speak their mind, and they seemingly they did not have the harassment campaigns targeted at them because they were parroting what the regime wanted them to parrot. Specifically, I mean, Pedro Pascal literally actually did compare Republicans to Nazis. So he posted this meme on his Instagram, and it's very clear what he was thinking. I mean, it might not have been Republicans. It might have been Donald Trump supporters. So, and Mark Hamill obviously says all kinds of insane gibberish on his social media. That's pro-regime. Chrono said, artists do not sign away our rights as American citizens when we enter into employment. I have spoken to all my co-stars since I was fired, and there's nothing but care and kind words between us. I respect their rights to free speech, their right to free speech, and do not have to think the same on every issue to be their friends and work with them. And I know they feel the same towards me. We have seen this. Numerous examples. Carl Weathers, I think, described Gina Carano as her favorite on the set, as his favorite on the set. And I think Emily Swallow had kind words for her as well. Carano then detailed how this lawsuit against the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm came about. A couple months ago, Elon Musk tweeted that if you had been fired from using the platform X for exercising your right to free speech, he would like to offer these people legal representation. Quite the noble offer, but I never in my wildest dreams would have thought anyone would take on my case against Lucasfilm Disney. Still, I did respond back. I think I qualify, and thousands of people agreed, but I did not expect anything. To my surprise, a few months ago, I received an email from a lawyer who had been hired by X to look into my story and many others. Turns out, after sending them as much information as I could gather these past few months, my now lawyers and X believe wholeheartedly in my case and are moving forward. She then went on to thank Elon Musk and X. And she also said this, as for me, I would like to pick up where I left off and continue my journey of creating and participating in storytelling, which is my utmost passion and everything I work so hard for. It has been difficult to move forward with the lies and labels stuck on me, backed and encouraged by the most powerful entertainment company in the world. I am grateful someone has come to my defense in such a powerful way and look forward to clearing my name. If you get into the nitty-gritty of the lawsuit, she is specifically suing them for wrongful discharge and refusal to hire, and sex discrimination in the state of California. As for what her demands are, she actually wants preliminary and permanent injunctive relief requiring defendants to reinstate her to her prior position with no loss of pay or benefits. So she actually wants to return to the set of The Mandalorian and play the role of Cara Dune. I'm wondering how that works with Rangers of the New Republic, because we know she was supposed to be part of that show. They fired her and then they scrapped that show. We haven't seen hide nor hair of it. She also wants a 75 exceeding $75,000 to pay for the losses that she incurred from the termination to date. So probably going to be a lot more than $75,000, depending on how much her contract was for the role of Cara Dune and how they factor in Rangers of the New Republic, etc., into that. And then it also says compensatory damages for loss of future employment, including but not limited to the promised role in Rangers of the New Republic, in an amount to be determined at trial. She also wants emotional distress damages, as well as punitive damages, and then attorney's fees and costs, and such other and further relief as the court may deem just and proper. So that is what Gina Carano is doing in her lawsuit against the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm. She's not going away silently as that company would like her to do. She is attacking, and she is on the attack, while the Walt Disney Company is now on the defense. And what I find really interesting about this is that she is going after them for silencing her right to free speech, when the Walt Disney Company just had their lawsuit against the state of Florida thrown out because they had no standing when they were trying to sue the state of Florida for supposedly suppressing their free speech. Well, the federal court said, no, that's not the case. You have no standing here. And it looks like, as we've been saying for years, these people are usually projecting onto other people what they're actually doing. In this case, it looks like the Walt Disney Company was projecting onto the state of Florida what they were actually doing to Gina Carano, suppressing free speech. And Gina Carano is not going to sit and take it. She is now going after the Walt Disney Company with the support of Elon Musk and X. X feels like they have a strong case, and they are going to take on the Walt Disney Company. We will be following this case as it progresses, and obviously, I will be rooting for Gina Carano to take the Walt Disney Company to task, because that company deserves to be taken to task for the evil actions they committed against her, as well as the numerous evil actions they are committing against many of their customers with the straight up propaganda they produce in much of their programming. But those are my thoughts on the matter. Let me know what you make of Gina Carano's lawsuit against the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, but to always speak the truth.